This is big news. Ripple's co-founder Chris Larsen gives Kamala Harris $10 million in XRP. What's happening here? And you have the central banks around the world, the ECB and the Fed, all of a sudden spreading FUD about Bitcoin and crypto. Is this an indication of a rally that's coming? I'll give you the details. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, let's start with the FUD. We all of a sudden got the ECB putting out a paper called The Distributional Consequences of Bitcoin, essentially declaring that the early Bitcoin adopters steal economic value from the latecomers. So we've seen the ECB and different central banks around the world put out FUD about Bitcoin and crypto, and it has not stopped with Bitcoin. It keeps going up. The more FUD they put out, it just continues to move because it's not correlated to the TradFi economy. It's correlated to global liquidity. The more money they keep printing, the more debasing of the currency that they do, the more Bitcoin continues to rise. And in addition, you had the Federal Reserve official, Neil Kashkari, who's very famous when he was interviewed, and he said, we can print unlimited money, right? That became a meme. And he said today, very few transactions happen on crypto unless it's drugs or illegal activity. And it's funny he said that because literally last week, TD Bank, they pleaded guilty in a money laundering case where they have to pay $3 billion in penalties. So it's funny how they changed the narrative, right? They tried to protect the banking system, which is guilty of so many crimes. We talked about JP Morgan and Jeffrey E. You guys know his last name, and much more. These banks get hit almost every year with massive fines, and they're supposed to be the regulated institutions, but they continue to do all types of shady business. So Neil obviously trying his best here to spread FUD. So what we've seen though historically is when you have this type of statements coming out from these folks, this is information for the masses to fool them. And that's what I've seen, and I'm sure many of you agree with me, but I've seen that, and it usually comes right before Bitcoin's about to make a big move. Now, that doesn't guarantee that a big move upwards is coming right around the corner, but it's another sign that potentially there is. And the fact that these guys are coming out so strong and all of a sudden, trying to spread FUD, it might be an indication that Bitcoin's about to move, crypto's about to do something big, which aligns with the charts, the macro, and much more. So this is very interesting. Matthew Siegel of Van Eck, who I've had on the podcast, weighed in, said Minneapolis Fed joins the ECB with Bitcoin attack. New paper claims governments can run permanent deficits if consumers don't notice and adopt new money like Bitcoin. Fantasizes about legal prohibition and extra taxes on Bitcoin to ensure government debt remains only risk-free security. There's a line, I believe it's in Hamlet's Shakespeare, they doth protest too much, right? They're protesting so much that they're giving themselves away. They know Bitcoin is a hedge against all the money printing that they do. But this could also just be that maybe they're helping their big Wall Street friends out, right? And institutional investors where they don't want retail accumulating here. They want retail to sell. And then when the price starts to move, they'll disappear and then the retail FOMO is in. I've seen market cycles. I've seen these things play out with media narratives, and I have a funny feeling that's what's happening here, but I could be wrong. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, of course. All right, moving ahead, guys. Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen. If you recall, I think it was last month that it was revealed in August he donated about $1 million in XRP to Kamala Harris. Well, he tweeted out today, it's time for Democrats to have a new approach to tech innovation, including crypto. I believe Kamala Harris will ensure that American technology dominates the world, which is why I'm donating $10 million in XRP in support of her. Now, as you can imagine, people went crazy about this, especially those who are hardcore Donald Trump supporters. And look, we know what's been happening under the Biden administration, which Kamala Harris is a part of, with Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. And I don't know if Chris knows something we don't, and he's doing this. Would I personally be giving Kamala Harris that amount of money after all the attack that's been happening on the industry? Hell no, right? I would not. And but he lives in a different world than we do. He's a billionaire, and people vote for many different reasons. I've talked about that before. We don't know if crypto is his number one issue. It could be other issues, right? It could be social issues. So that's where it's hard to tell. Or as some people have been saying, he's hedging his bets a bit. That you know, if Kamala Harris does win, he's trying to garner some favor here, possibly to get the SEC off Ripple's back, even though Ripple took the lion's share of the victory. But the SEC is appealing. So this is where it's hard to read, but he's very public about it. And once again, maybe he knows something we don't know. He's talking to different people at which we don't have access to. So we shall see, but as you can imagine, my goodness, the tweet replies are crazy. People really destroying him in the tweet comments, but I'm sure he expected that. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse replied to Chris's tweet saying, "I respect Chris's and everyone's right to support whomever they think is the best to lead the U.S. We need to immediately change course from this administration's misguided war in crypto. Ripple will continue to engage with both Democrats and Republicans in the final days of the campaigns and after the election to promote pro-crypto policies. It's not about party lines, it's about championing policies that drive blockchain and crypto innovation." Now, Brad also retweeted the video of Elon talking about XRP and crypto, where he was asked about that at a town hall yesterday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He said voters care about crypto. They care about XRP. It's not a niche issue. They want real policies that drive innovation and create jobs. Candidates that ignore crypto and blockchain risk a serious loss in supporting from a growing informed voter base. So he's spot on there. Crypto is doing tons of spending, and those who go against crypto are going to lose in the elections. We've already been seeing that in the primaries and on Super Tuesday. Now, a quick word from our sponsor, and that is Uphold, which is one of the top crypto platforms out there, folks. I've been using Uphold since 2018. They're very reliable. They have 300 plus cryptocurrencies, and that includes Bitcoin and all the top altcoins. They're available in over 150 countries. You can also trade precious metals on this platform like gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. Folks, they do not commingle or lend out your crypto assets. They are 100% reserved, and they have a transparency report that you can review. So if you'd like to learn more about Uphold, visit the link in the description. Now check this out. CFTC Chairman Rostin Benham presses Congress to act on crypto and election betting legislation. So obviously highlighting Polymarket and some of these betting platforms. There's been talks of possibly Polymarket getting manipulated by whales, where Trump's lead is so large, it just doesn't look authentic, right? Because the other polls around the country show a very close race, with Trump mostly leading. But on Polymarket, it's just a big stretch. So I think there's some legislation that's needed, but we need to see the details of that legislation because we want to also have balance where we're not stifling innovations. So CFTC Chair Rostin Benham said he doesn't expect Congress to act this year on crypto legislation during the SIFMA's annual meeting on Monday. Benham also called on Congress to weigh in on election betting. So expect legislation to come around for all of these things. And some of these election betting markets are not available in the United States due to the lack of clarity. So we really need that because why is it all happening outside the United States? It should be happening in the United States. So Congress definitely needs to act. Now, guys, yesterday I shared with you all the Stripe acquisition of Bridge, which is the stablecoin platform, and it was for $1.1 billion. That's the largest acquisition in crypto's history. Really big, right? Well, Matt Hogan of Bitwise Asset Management retweeted that news saying stablecoin asset under management will top $1 trillion in 2026, in my opinion, and that might be conservative. I think he's right. When you look at the global stablecoin market with crypto legislation already rolled out in the EU, there's talks of stablecoin legislation being pushed through here in the United States. I think that's very much possible. And you got big players entering in. Ripple's right around the corner. Obviously, you got PYUSD with PayPal, Circle's USDC, and then Tether. So we're going to see more and more of these. So I think he's spot on, guys. This thing will continue to grow. Now, The BIS, the Bank of International Settlement report highlights risk in traditional finances move toward tokenization. So now you're seeing them talk about tokenization. They're highlighting the benefits and the risks. But the fact that they're doing this shows this is the future. They wouldn't waste their time on something that's a fad or a dying trend or something like that. So the BIS report highlights tokenization's benefits, including reduced transaction costs and faster transactions. Governance, legal, and liquidity risks are key concerns for central banks with tokenized assets. Major financial institutions are trialing tokenized deposits for improved settlement efficiency and programmability. Now we know Franklin Templeton is doing it, BlackRock, and many other institutions. So as we've been talking about for years, I've said this ad nauseum, we're headed to the token economy, everything running on the blockchain, commodities, securities, all real estate, all these things on the blockchain, 24/7 trading, 365 days, no more opening and closing bell, no more weekends or holidays, and a truly global market. And a lot of new markets, secondary and tertiary, will be opened up for different industries. So real estate, you can make it a truly global market where people can access tokens for certain buildings and land and whatever it may be across the world. So it opens up a huge opportunity. And of course, you got to watch which blockchains are being selected for tokenization. So, for example, BlackRock's using Ethereum. I believe Franklin Templeton is using Stellar, and some others, if I'm not mistaken. So, we are seeing growing adoption here, and the Bank of International Settlements needs to weigh in and watch the IMF weigh in eventually, right? So, exciting stuff happening here. When I see folks like this talking about it, I know what's coming, right? They're laying the groundwork, they're building the awareness, they're educating people, and clearly this technology is here to stay, folks. So I hope you are as bullish as I am. Now, let me know what you think, guys. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Also, be sure to sign up for my free email newsletter on Substack, and be sure to grab a copy of my book, Rethinking Crypto. It's available on Amazon in paperback and digital. If you bought a copy already, please leave a rating and review. All right, folks, like I said, let me know what you think. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all later.